Okay, let's solve the easiest problem related to this physics relationship in this equation, and that's finding delta x. So let's pull over and start our checklist. Here's our find delta x. Now delta x is a displacement, and we already know that our SI units for displacement are going to be, we're going to get the meters here, in meters. Okay, so we're going to find delta x in meters. Now delta x is where is the ball relative to where it started for any given initial velocity, time, and acceleration we have in a problem. So that leads us to, what is it that we need to know to make this work? Well, the first thing we need to know is we need to know our initial velocity. So let's type in initial velocity, and our initial velocity is going to be some value with a unit of meters per second. We'll come back and make this our subscript so it matches the way we write it. The next thing we would have to know is our acceleration, which in this case is the special case called g, which is going to be equal to a negative 9.81 meters per second squared. I'll fix that squared in a minute. And the final thing that we need to know is our time in seconds. So we'll write, we need to know our delta t, okay, and it would have some value in seconds. All right, let's fix this as our exponent. Now this is a very straightforward problem. We would have some value for initial velocity. Now remember, that's how fast it was going right as it left our hand when we threw it up. And we'd have to know g, which is negative 9.81 meters per second squared. Now remember, we're saying negative because our frame of reference is that up is positive and down is negative. And then finally, we would have to know our delta t in seconds. The last thing we would have to do would simply be to get our calculator out and then place the values in our equation for v sub I, delta t, and a, and make our calculation. The most common error that we have in physics for beginners is simply a calculator error. You know, those digital errors, the ones that we make based on using that big old digit on the end of our hand and buttons on a calculator. So be careful. I like to tell students, put it into a spreadsheet, because at least you can see what you're doing. Go back and audit your equation and the values at any time. Okay, this one's easy. So you can solve problems of this type without a whole lot of drama.